Imagine that you're in a cult. Okay, this is freaking crazy. Like this is the real story my guest is about to share. And imagine that you start to get into what you think is some type of personal development. It takes a while. You learn later on it's a cult. But all of a sudden, like over time, you're starting to be trapped in your body. Like you're underwater is how he describes it. And his body is walking around and starting to do crazy things. And he's not in control of his conscious anymore. But he's like in there deep down, able to like look up and almost like, what is happening? And he feels himself falling like deeper and deeper into an abyss. On today's show of Elevating Beyond, I'm going to have the famous hip hop, my man, dude, Apollo Fresh. Look, I'm doing a screen share now to all of you watching it, showing you on YouTube one of his hit songs that has over 38 million views just on YouTube alone, and how he shares this crazy story behind the story of being in this cult that he's never shared with anyone before. And then we're going to talk about business and how he built up his music, being authentic to himself. And the crazy part, how weed saved his life from this cult. So get ready, everyone, as we have a kick-ass episode coming here and powerful of Elevating Beyond.
Want to rise above what holds you back? These are the stories of those fighting that battle. It might also be the story of you. I'm Dan Waldschmidt, author of Edgy Conversations and strategist of billion-dollar companies all over the world. This is Mark Minard, author of The Story of You, the guy who knows a thing or two about never giving up. You're listening to Elevating Beyond. Let's get started.
Hello, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to Elevating Beyond with a 2-word mission statement: change lives. And this is going to cut right into it. From what I was telling you, my man, Apollo, how he went from being in a cult, and this is going to cut right into him sharing the story of the whole process of him getting into this cult and how it like took over his mind and brought him down into this abyss, and his transition out into personal development, into creativity, into music, into production, into business, into having his song that has over 80 million downloads, which is insane. Now, this is going to cut right into it. We also did an additional 2.5 hours recording besides this that I'm going to have for you on a separate episode. But what we're doing right here on this, it's going to cut right in and flow to my man, Apollo, diving right into the story of being in the cult. Now, join with us in the middle is our man, Giscard, who's Apollo's cousin. Super amazing dude. They've known each other, been cousins, grown up together their whole life. So he joins us, pops in and out throughout the show. So just get ready. This is going to cut right to Apollo talking about as he started getting into what he didn't know at the time was a cult
experience. But then I ended up going to, not to get into like the culty part of it, is I ended up getting invited to a place that's probably like a nature preserve type of area where they had like a dome to like do yoga and stuff like that. And I met this old man there that basically offered me to write he was writing a book. And in that book, basically what the process was is like, oh, he's going to show you how to like enlighten yourself and document that process and put that into the book. And he had a group of people and stuff like that. And which I thought was a cool idea. I barely understood the word enlightenment, but I'm like, this sounds like a level up to me. And basically he said that we basically connected off the fact that like one of the things was that he he liked Osho a lot. And I remember I had bought a book by Osho because I saw some celebrity with the book or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I know about that book. And I was like, okay, I want to be a part of this. I want to grow. Is it necessary? I felt like low key, Sasuke, like going to Orochimaru, like I want more power. I want to get there. I don't really care. At some point,
right?
I was like, because there was at some point I realized we were meeting like once a month, and I was like, yo, something's weird going on. Like, because what he would do while he was teaching us valuable things, like when it comes to spirituality, and I never had no experience about spirituality anywhere else.
And you were in college, like at this time, right?
Exactly, I was in college. But he was also like playing these long videos by Osho and stuff like that. And I didn't know that Osho was like a cult leader that had like, there's a whole documentary.
On Netflix, I think. On Netflix,
yeah. I think it's called Wild Country, something like that. But basically I'm going and I'm learning from him and I'm listening to these audios and I didn't understand, but there was like hypnosis weaved into those audios and stuff like that, but also providing valuable information on like awareness and present moment awareness and stuff like that, right? But that was part of his thing. Like he provided some value to kind of try and like ensnare you. So, but the thing, Osho is dead at this time, but this guy is that I'm working with was a devout follower of Osho, like somebody that was like had a leadership role in Osho's organization while it was here. So,
but you didn't know anything about, so you're like going through some struggles with stuff you're doing with your music, with everything, and just life. Like I've been there.
Exactly.
Anxiety, depression. I've been through that.
My girlfriend did me dirty. She kind of cheated on me.
Yeah.
And I was rolling my bed crying, looking for new solutions and stuff. Like, how do I find some peace?
Right.
And
were you thinking too of like, what's the point of living? Was that hitting you at all? Not just from her, but I mean, just from everything, like having thoughts like that ever?
I did think about that, but I thought about that like more like after that situation. At that point, it was like more times I felt like dying more so. Like, what's the point of living? Anytime I had doubt about not getting to my dreams, it was like this or I'm gonna die. And it was like, damn, am I not gonna do this? I guess I'm gonna die. Am I gonna choose to die? No. Okay, I guess I gotta do it.
That's the best way to look at it. You have to have that.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, there's no way I'm gonna give up.
That's when I most felt like it. Like, it was like, damn, this. And if I doubted, it was like death. And it was like, and then it was like, well, I'm not choosing death. I guess I gotta go back and get it. So after meeting with this guy, like for like a few months and stuff like that, this is like, and I'm starting to see like a lot of change inside of me and stuff like that, and growth and whatever. And like, there's a point where he told me like, oh, like you want to become a disciple of Osho or whatever and stuff like that. And then the first time he told me that, I was like, what the hell? No.
Yeah.
I was like,
you could say it, man. Just throw money in the swear jar.
I was like, what the fuck?
There's no other word for it.
And then I was like, I ignored it. I was like, whatever, bro. Like, you can have that, but I'm gonna stick around and learn.
But you just felt like it was kind of still like personal development, meditate. Like disciple was just like their word of like, you're part of the like, not in a weird, freaky. We're putting subliminal like messages into you without you knowing it and stuff, which is crazy.
It was exactly that, but I didn't think it was that deep.
Yeah.
But I just thought he was weird that he wanted to follow some old guy after his death and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? Like, you could have that. I'm finding value where I'm at right now, right? But what I didn't realize was like listening to those long audios. Like, I would stop. There's a point where I stopped going to class. I always wanted to listen to those Osho audios because I was like, bro, there's something deeper in this world, and I would need to know this. I'm not learning this in my fucking class, and so I'm just like going deeper. But I didn't realize this whole time it's like hypnotizing me. So, like through subtle cues, through the specific Osho audios or whatever.
So crazy.
So it got to a point where like I couldn't think anymore, but not in the good way, not in the flow state way. It was like non-being. It was like, I just wasn't there. Like, you know, when you're not like you're in your thoughts, you're not paying attention to your body.
Right.
Or if you're like completely connected to your body, you're not really in your thoughts. It's like I was somewhere that was not my body or not my thoughts. Like, and it felt. That's when I started to kind of like be like, what's going on? But I didn't question it at first because good things were kind of happening. There was like it was like a pseudo flow state.
Because part of it, like some of the meditation and stuff, part of that obviously is good when it's done the right way so you were getting some of the good results while also, because I remember you described to me at one point, it was almost like being trapped like underwater, like looking up, but your body is like moving through the motions. But then you're like, as I would fall asleep, it wasn't even like underwater. It was like I was sinking into an abyss.
Yeah, it was like think of like Get Out, Sunken Place. It was like I was just being stripped away, going into like
that movie Get Out.
Yeah, Get Out, like outside of my senses. Like it was like I remember after this whole ordeal happened, I was doing some nature program with this woman named Jamet, beautiful woman, and she wrote on the quiz like something. She was like, "Oh, what would it feel like to not be able to feel anything?" And I started laughing. I'm like, "What the heck is that? How do you not be able to feel anything?" But then I was crying. I just started crying, and I was like, "I know what that feels like."
That's weird.
When I was like when like I felt like I was losing myself like that. It was like an extreme dissociation. Like
right.
I could not feel anything, but my body would still move. There would be moments where like I would go into trance. Like I would just like I'd be talking to you. Like there was a point in time where I couldn't, because when I would meet with this guy, like he also did like this eye hypnotism thing.
Would it just be you and him, or was it like a group
of us? But I was embracing it the most because I was just the most thirsty.
So like would he just like stare at you and be like what was the stuff playing? Something. What blew my mind from this is I never realized the power of like the way like beats, like bilingual, like how they can
beats.
Like how that can actually move. Like I've known, I have a thing I use, an app for focusing and all that, like for aid, and it helps.
Yeah.
But I never knew. I mean, the brain's amazing, but it shows how stuff can like get into our heads like it makes you think of the news and everything, but like a virus.
Yes, because what happens is you're opening.
So crazy.
They help you get to like those frequencies,
Dude,
like theta frequency.
anime.
Yeah, it is like delta frequencies, whatever these frequencies, like these frequencies where you're more malleable, you're more imaginative, you're more able to reprogram. So it's valuable if you have the right program to place.
Right.
If you allow somebody to replace your program and they have bad intentions,
And it's bad, yeah.
then now you're stuck in their program if you want to get out. So like it's hard if you don't have any type of experience like that. Like so for me, like just to continue for what I was talking about.
Yeah, like the eye, him looking you in the eye.
Yeah, he'll be looking at me in my eye and stuff like that, like staring me, and I could feel myself going into like trance, and I would allow it to happen because I thought.
But you felt like you were relaxing or something.
Yeah,
right?
I'm like, I must be relaxing, But it was
Is that what you guys are doing to me at yoga joint?
Nah. I mean, as a matter of fact, that's one of the things I be looking out.
I just joke.
Call me and be like, "Oh man, this just happened." I'm like, "Nah, bro, you need to check."
It's nothing like that there. I'm just joking.
So but anyways, so there was a point where he asked me again to become a disciple, but I was like, it's like I couldn't even think, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna get there faster. Okay, I'm gonna get to like a higher self-consciousness and state of enlightenment faster. Okay, it makes sense. Let me do it. So I ended up sending my email, my address, my picture of myself to this weird ass to the Osho Foundation, because even though he's dead, the foundation is still running. So
that's so crazy.
When they do
that was after the documentary.
I think the
maybe
documentary,
maybe not.
Maybe right before the documentary.
Yeah, when you got out, they made it.
Yeah, when I got out, it came out. Like it was like around the same area.
God.
Yeah.
So people were. I mean, think of the level that it got you to, and you haven't even fully explained it yet. Remember we were talking about this, like living on a compound where imagine being born into that
compound. And then everybody
it's so easy to judge. Some people be like, how could they become like this? Dude, imagine you're like literally born into that. Think of the people that have broke free from that.
that cold eyes is a real thing. Wow. Imagine everybody you're looking at through the day is looking at you, those cold eyes, keeping you within that trance.
That's insane.
It's fucking sick.
But isn't it, what if we flip that and think, how can we put positive on people too, though? Because if the power to do that with that, then there's also the power to do like good with it.
Yeah, definitely when it comes to like reprogramming the brain and like using like frequencies in order and like teaching yourself like present moment awareness and all that stuff. But personally, I don't think I would ever like like the I part. That's like really entraining yourself into somebody else. It's like a melding of like soul. Like they say, eyes are windows of soul. Like you're so deeply connected. Right. Like I remember like trying to. It's like I wouldn't want to live like that. Like I would be zombified sometimes. Like sometimes I would just I'd be gone and I'll just be like. And I'm like in a sunken place. I'm trying to get back, and I'm like, and I just get back into my body, like like I'm back, and I'm like, okay, I'm keeping control type of stuff. Like I remember going to like trying to go to a show, like one of those underground shows. Like after that, and I remember walking, and I'm like trying my hardest not to look people in their eyes. And I remember like somebody like trying to pass, and I went, and then my eyes just locked onto his eyes, and I'm like not like I'm in trance with his eyes, and then the guy gets mad. He's like, "Why are you looking so deep in my eyes for?" Like he like flexed on me, like he about.
And you didn't even know you were.
I couldn't control it. Like I had to tear my eyes away. Like I had to tear. Like that was a practice. Like I had to tear my eyes away.
That's so crazy.
So yeah. So back to like chronologically, I was in the story.
Send the info.
I send the info.
Yeah, thank you.
They send what they do. It's like, because now you've listened to enough of the free Osho audios, whatever, but once you become the disciple, whatever, they send you audios that inculcate you that are even more hypnotic. They're like 10 times more hypnotic. And it was like called I'm the Way or some shit. And there's like, and I'm going through the audios and I'm like, I get to the 6th audio and it's talking about crazy shit. Like I'm falling asleep to this shit. And
so it like comes in gradually.
Exactly. It's a gradual, like they're inculcating you. Like it's
systematic desensitization, like a little bit. Yeah.
So, and then it just becomes more hypnotic. And it's saying like, oh, you're going to have a picture with him around you all the time to feel safe. Once that picture will go white to you, you'll be able to communicate with him and shit like that. Like it was saying crazy shit. That's when I was like, wait a fucking minute. I'm like,
who's him?
This is crazy. Like, why this doesn't even make any sense, and I feel wild, and and I was like,
but dude, you're that it's great. First of all, I appreciate you open. It's gotta feel good. But dude, like being real, I was talking about this on the phone. Like you hadn't really opened up a lot. Like it's funny, but it was like, dude, this was fucked up,
bro. I had no type of fucking idea about any type of spirituality at all. So it's my only place that I learned about it, right? Then after that, like I feel like I'm being like sucked away from myself, right?
That's so crazy.
And I can't explain this to anybody. I try to talk to my dad. My dad's a psychiatrist. My dad's like, you need to be on medication. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck is going on? So, but the thing was just like, I would go back to that place and I'm not thinking anymore. And I didn't realize, I'm just moving back forward with life.
Were you doing anything with your music at that time, or were you just totally in this different?
I was basically totally in this.
So it just sucked the create. It just put you.
I was like, I was doing
what are they trying to turn you into?
I was doing some things, but I wasn't like really. I was more interested in that knowledge I was learning, right? And then so I remember like, but things would happen. Like I said, like a pseudo flow state. Things that I kind of wanted to happen would happen. And I remember like I'm at this girl's crib, and I'm with her and her friend, and we're about to have a threesome. But like I'm guiding them. First off, before that even happened, I'm guiding them through yoga, right?
Right.
And I'm like,
are you looking them in the eye?
Nah, I wasn't like that. But I was like, it was just like really present. It was just like a.
So you were in like the good flow where you felt like everything was in tune.
It was like good flow, but it wasn't me though. So we're in the bed. We're about to have a threesome. Like we're smoking, right?
Right.
But when I smoked, like it's like my thoughts came back to me. It's like
I
that
remember us talking
paranoia.
about this.
Like, but it was like I was able to think again. And I was like,
I said on the intro, weed saved your life. Go ahead.
it's fucking saved me.
Yeah.
So
That paranoia for once worked out.
yeah. And I started, and it was like literally like a Rolodex flipping. That's how it felt. Like in my mind, I could see the vision, like the mental screen was flipping. Like this happened, this happened, this happened while you're away, this happened while you're away, this happened, this happened, this happened. And
I've had it where it's got too much on the side of overthinking everything, but on the flip side of that, this is like I've had it where it's got me overthinking way too much and but when you're stuck in a cult, anyone listening, if you're in a cult, maybe try smoking something because yeah, that's actually true.
yeah, so, but for me, I got lucky that like it showed me, it was like, wait, I became a disciple? Why the fuck did I do that? Why did I send these people my address?
Like, what am I doing?
What am I doing right now? I was like, and I just looked at them. I'm like this, like, look at my left and right. I'm like, hold on, I'll be right back. I get up, I leave the room, and I'm sitting on their couch in their living room. And I'm just like, this is nuts. I'm in a crazy situation. And I'm like looking up, like Osho, like I'm seeing he's a cult leader. Wow. I'm like, I gotta go tell, like, while I still have my mind, I gotta go tell Peter, I gotta go tell my family, I gotta tell people like about what's going on right now. I have to figure this shit out. And so I'm like, but then I'm like, but I'm about to have a threesome though. And I never had one. And I'm just like, but what if I go back in there and then I lose myself again and I don't take action while I have the opportunity?
Man, what a test.
And I was like,
that was your first test to the next level.
I was like, nah, bro, I gotta leave. So I left, I go home, I'm pretty sure I called Lou, I called Peter. Do you remember?
Bro, I remember.
How many people were like, wait, didn't hear a word about the cult story and were like, wait, you left a threesome?
Yeah, it was.
Like, did you not just hear what I said?
Bro, outside looking in, it was crazy because like I'm talking to him on those days when he's not there. You know, like.
So were you seeing a total difference in him?
There was
like from your.
So on the outside looking in, first is just like, I mean, my cousin went off to college. He's got some new things going on around him and everything. So like, naturally, people are gonna change.
Right. And you like you said before, known each other your whole life, so you
exactly. So I love him regardless.
Right.
So like, he could have turned into like whatever he wanted to. Turtle, I don't care. Like I'm gonna love him for life. So when there was discord going on, I'm just thinking of it as like, man, this guy don't want to talk. Like, he's acting like he can't answer me because it's simple stuff that he doesn't do already. Like,
so was it like shutting down kind of or not?
It was shutting down. It was like, and this is outside looking in too. So it's like, oh, where's like, it's a lack of compassion. There's a shutting down. There's an attentiveness. And he's also like a ninja. He's like, what, double black belt in Taekwondo or something?
Oh,
so
no way.
This is someone who I've known to have like quick reflexes, like so like I could just like snap at you, you're gonna snap back, like so. It's like I tossed something at you, you didn't catch it. Weird. We catch stuff like when you're not even supposed to. So what's going on? Like I'm talking to you. I told you your mom's calling for you, and you're just staring out the window, like things like that. Where it's like, man.
Were you thinking like drugs or something, like some crazy drug, or were you just like?
I just thought that like. I honestly just thought that like he's going through college, like I already know that like he's in unprecedented situation. Like
yeah.
At least in our family, our entire generation, we're all like unprecedented in our family.
Right.
No one's had hair like us. No one's ever like been out like us, like doing stuff. Like I was 16 going to these shows with him. My mom's like complaining, like, oh, why are you coming home at 2 a.m.?
Oh yeah.
She's like, you're not going to a show this weekend. You know what I mean? Like,
Because
so
things started to turn up and she
'cause
changed her
things
mind.
started-
She was like, oh, you're not going to go.
Yeah, because it
That's
goes from
awesome.
like, oh, we're just coming home at 2 a.m. to like, yeah, I just got back home 1:30, but we were talking to a record exec or we were talking to this producer who works with so and so we're gonna be in the studio next week, blah blah blah. So it was like
That's cool.
there's progression going on. So when he was like moving different, I'm like, well, for one, if it hits the fan, I'm there. So like I'm not stressing it in that sense, and even down to like spiritual background stuff. It's like I'm very spiritual at home. So like my mom does voodoo, like everybody does voodoo in my family. So it's like
Yeah, my wife's from Sir. Yeah, they do.
So,
but that's a lot with beliefs too. We could do a whole other show on that. But go ahead.
Yeah, so like in that case, then you know how like someone might have a practice that's inexplicable, but like essential. You know, whether it's like pouring water outside your house every morning or just something, whatever it is that your denomination does. So like watching that happen was one thing, but then it was like, oh, okay, no, now he's like not okay. And my mom and I understood it from a spiritual standpoint because we're like, a doctor's gonna tell you go get meds. Your friends are just gonna tell you that you're like, oh, you're just depressed, like go do
Right.
something fun. But
It-
I'm like,
It is voodoo, and
Yeah,
that
it's
is like what was happening.
yeah, it's his spirit that's gone. So like my mom and I know that. So we're like at the house trying to figure out like, and mind you, he's also someone who like, for example, like he likes to go home. So like when he comes over and then it's like, bro, I went to school, came back, you've been passed out on the couch like for 2 days. Like, oh,
Wow.
you're not okay. And it's like, and my mom has basically like a church at her house. Books and books and books and prayers and all kind of random. So she doesn't source from one spot. So like he'll just wake up and my mom's like, yo, I don't even know what happened. He just woke up and went and grabbed this book and he's been reading it all day.
And
That is so
And to
crazy.
put context onto that, it was because like I didn't feel at the time I didn't feel like many people understood me except his mom understood me some, and that really brought peace to me. But it was like I knew that I was figuring out once I like left, I was figuring out how to deprogram myself and simultaneously reprogram myself for I wanted to go because I had to deprogram myself. And one of the books he had was The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And at the same time, I wanted answers. I was like, okay, these guys were malicious in a way.
They're tapping into your subconscious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're tapping into my subconscious. And
Because you told me you asked at one point, you're like, it's funny because in a way, God used this to level me up because I got into like a rut and I'm like, didn't you like ask?
I
like,
made a prayer. I said, God, like turn me, like enlighten me, make me like amazing, like in touch with myself, be amazing person that can handle so many things. I don't care how extreme it is. I don't care how messed up it is. As long as I live and I keep my limbs and all that, like I'm good. I'll be straight. I'll make it through.
dude, how is this not proof that God's not orchestrating?
Yeah,
It's because it's so crazy how not the he from I almost don't like saying he anymore after hearing the subliminal things on you, but like how God, how the higher power can use the darkness to actually draw out the light from it and bring more light into you. And conquer that darkness and actually use that as a superpower for you through that. Not while you're in it, obviously, but no. So go ahead. So you started reading that book.
Beautiful contrast for like what the beautiful light that he has for us. You know what I mean?
But you're reading that book.
Oh yeah, I'm reading.
So I'm just giving back to the story.
Oh yeah, my bad. I'm reading that book, and I'm just like, what my whole thing was like, I was addicted to books because I needed answers, and the people around me couldn't give it to me. People didn't know deep enough spiritually, or like they didn't know. I needed the science. I needed to be able to talk to my dad about what was happening to me, because at this point, I only know like the woo-woo spiritual experiential, like of what's going on. I'm like, I need to be able to explain biochemically what's happening in my brain. I need to be able to explain the neurology what's happening right now. I need to be able to explain like the that stuff, like even down to like the different frequencies. I needed to be able to do that, and I just didn't have that information yet, and I was just itching for it. I'm like reading through The Power of Now, trying to get all the answers. Where like if I knew myself at the time, maybe I would have gave myself a book by Joe Dispenza or Bruce Lipton.
Right.
So, but it took me a while to find that, and I was so grateful when I started to find books that like explained the science behind like flow state or even the reticular activating system. But back to like that point in time, I remember like Lou telling me later, like he was like, he wasn't. You were saying you weren't sure like if this was gonna be me forever, if I was gonna be like zombified.
Oh yeah, man. Because that's one of the things I think about. Like it was a real testament to like faith and like the practices that
Yeah.
Because there's like a certain point of it that's in his hands. Like I couldn't meditate him out of it even if I wanted to. I could pray for him. I could do everything on the outside. Here's some food, eat it when you feel like it. Hey, I'm gonna go out. You need anything while I'm out? Cool, no. But when it came to like what he needed to figure out, he needs to figure that out. And all we could give him is the space to figure it out. And then in the meantime, keep the outside out. Because it was also a very like vulnerable state.
Right.
Because like I know spiritually, wise how someone might come to that.
Right.
But this was done so like physically, if you will. Like this wasn't a metaphysical situation where I can just send back whatever came to you. This is something that was like reconstructed from the inside. So it's like this is something I cannot call on something external for it. It has to be an internal work done from the inside out. But then I also knew that like realizing the damage that was done, it was like, yeah, aside from faith, there's not really much like one can plan to say like, oh, this will bring him back.
Right.
Here,
just do A, B, and C. Yeah.
And then he'll be back. No. It was a point where I'm looking at him on the couch and I'm like, okay, like this might be it for the next 30 years, next 50 years. Like,
Wow.
Like I had to introduce my kids to him like this, like
That's
however
nuts.
it is. But it's like, I'm like, not like, oh, I'm cool with that. Like, yeah.
Right.
But like, if that's what it has to be, it'll be what it has to be at the end of the day. And then watching him come out of it and being able to be like, yo, bro, because there was certain things where it was like, oh man, like if you didn't tell me this or if I didn't tell you that, then we wouldn't have known to catch this before it fell and stuff like that. So
Right.
It's just like a point in time where you gotta look at the person. I'm like, I love him regardless. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's and also to we don't know what's going through someone's mindset, So you didn't even know, to be able to say, oh, this is already happening. Like you didn't even. It was all happening so gradually. It wasn't just immediately. Like
It was gradual. I would like let my mom know. Like, I remember there was one point where I told my mom was like, "Be careful." I'm like, "Mom, I know. Like, I'm not sure what it is going on, but they're not gonna get me. I promise you that." And I was like,
oh yeah, I wasn't gonna let them get him. I think that was also one thing that I felt was like important, like spiritual. Like his spirit knew that like at the end of the day, there was a certain base level,
a connection
that like we already had, where it's like he like it's like, okay, I may not find out what happened to him or how to reverse it, but I'll know who. Like I'll know like it's not going past this.
Yeah,
like now
I believe
home,
that.
now he's with us. Like it's not going past this.
Yeah,
Let's make our way back. But it's not going past.
It felt like, and my name Apollo came from Percy Jackson books, but just like being inspired by Greek mythology.
Okay.
But it felt like this was me being held by my heel and being dipped in the river of Styx and being pulled back out and then like surviving the death. And now I'm like a demigod. Like that's how I felt. And from where I was, cool. it was like, okay, I realized all this shit is weird. I started looking into hypnotism. And I'm like, oh my God, like you can hypnotize with your eyes and stuff like that. Then I was like looking up can somebody like hypnotize you like in the movies type of hypnotism type of thing?
Right.
And it was like, oh, you can't really hypnotize somebody to completely control them type of thing. But if somebody is hypnotizing you and repetitively asking you to surrender to them, remove yourself from the situation immediately. That's when I was like, boom, okay, I got it. I know I got to get. I already knew it, but I was trying to prove myself logically why I need to get out. And I remember even like, so
you just go out into the you go out into the left, go all the way towards the windows, then go left. It's at the end there. Yeah.
So at this point, I'm trying to figure out like what's happening to me. I'm trying to communicate. I go meet up with this guy. I'm like, yo, what's happening? Like, and I see him looking at me in my eyes, and I'm just like, I pull away, I look down, and I look back up, and he looks down like, what was that? Like, how come we pulled away type of thing? Like, and like, and I remember he's like, yo, like, I don't know who you were in your past life, but you're powerful. I'm like, huh, okay. And I'm just like suspicious. And I remember I'm trying to tell him like what's going on with me, and he's not responsive. Like, he's not giving me any straight answers. And I remember I go home and stuff at this point, and I would try to go to sleep, and I would go into a trance. The moment, like, you know, when you're falling asleep, the moment you fall asleep, that moment that I would fall asleep, it would feel like a huge, infinite, growing, fully infinite funnel, infinitely bigger and smaller, like a whirlpool. Like an abyss. Like an abyss. Like I kept getting dragged into it every time I would just fall asleep. And I would like, I couldn't sleep for days because I would just go there and I would just have to wake up to like not keep getting sucked in. And I remember calling him and being like, what the heck is going on, bro? I don't want this. And he was like, no, it's good. Go deeper into that. And I'm like, okay, I can't talk to him anymore. He's not going to give me any type of solutions. He wants whatever's happened to me to happen to me. And I was just like, and I remember looking up enlightenment. I was like, what the fuck is enlightenment? And then I find out that Illuminati used to be a real group that was centered around enlightenment and whatever. And like, but wait,
Illuminati, you can hit, those are both on, by the way. I know it's showing you. Are you seeing the okay button on there? Yeah. My Eric Thomas, my guy that's been on the show, his dude Carl hooked him. It's all on here. You can hit the okay button if you want, but they're still both on. Just so you know. Okay. I saw you looking at that. But no, okay, so the Illuminati with enlightenment.
Yeah, so basically like what I find out, because I'm researching shit because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. I researched this shit and I found out that Illuminati, like the whole thing about Illuminati now is like, we don't know if there's people are like arguing whether it's still around and stuff. That's a whole conspiracy thing. But it was a real group back in the day that was trying to enlighten people.
So it was originally made as a good thing?
I don't know if it was good or I don't know what their intentions were.
Like a society seeking knowledge and wisdom and kind of about like spreading that, but it was kind of like a society.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. So
but it wasn't like meant originally as like a cult.
It wasn't a cult or anything. I don't know, but but my whole thing was I just looked up enlightenment and just saw the word tied to that, like illumination, enlighten. And I was like, and like in their history, and I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, I saw my soul. I didn't know it. I was just making shit up. And because I really had no idea like what the fuck would happen to me. And so from there, that's when I started doing the research and started learning. And I remember like there was a point where I had to give my mom my books because I just came like manic I'm like, yo, hide my books from me because I wanted to figure out what happened to me, but the answers weren't in the books that I had at the time. And from there, it was just like, I remember there was I'm back home, I'm out of school, and we get a package in the mail from like Osho from the company, giving me like a picture of him and a necklace, and my mom's like, no, throw that shit away. She throws it away, and I walk around the house. My mom's like, oh dang, look at your hair. Like, it looks like, I don't like your hair. I'm like, okay. Then my grandma walks up. I'm like, at this point, I don't give a crap about anything. I'm just living. And then my grandma's like, oh, I don't like your hair. I'm like, that's interesting. My mom just told me that. Yeah. Then I'm walking, and my sister's like, oh, your hair looks like clutter. I was like, I don't like clutter. And I was like, all right, Mom, can you cut my hair? We go outside in the backyard, and I cut my hair. It's the same day she threw away that thing. She cut all my. I had my first set of dreads. It's my second set right now. She cut that off, and I remember just surrendering. I gave a prayer. I was like, listen, God, like I don't know what happened. Like, the worst possible thing I could think of right now is like if I gave myself to demons or something like that. And if that's the case, I still pray that you use me to do good in this life, to have a positive, purposeful way of being in this life for the world. Like use me in that way, God. And I surrender. Whatever the fuck happened, I surrender. And I remember it was just like, I was like the world was whole different. Like I was like in a fairyland. Like I was just like, everything was so bright. I was just super grounded. And I went and took a shower and I was just remember washing my hair. Like I was like, like I felt like it was just so amazing. I just like washed
like
everything
a rebirth
off.
almost. Yeah,
exactly, literally. And then from there, it was just about like reconnecting. Like it's like bringing my spirit back to me. Like it was bringing myself back to myself. Because like there would be moments like I was more here. But there'd be moments where like I'm walking, I'm talking, and I'm just bloom, I'm gone, and I'm like in a trance and I can't move, like I'm literally stiff, like
so crazy,
like dissociated, and I'm like, and then I was getting better at bringing myself back and staying here, and over time, like I remember just thinking, I'm like, oh, I just had so much awareness, and I was just like, man, if I'm doing what I'm doing right now, I'm not gonna make it as an artist, and I was like. So then I just started making music, and I just started making more music. I started doing the things that I knew I had to do, and then people were saying that I was depressed, and I was like, I don't really feel depressed, but I just see like two different sides of life at the same time right now. Right. And I was just like, all right, but what do people do to get out of the situation? I started looking up like successful people, and I started looking. They say, meditate. They say get in the sun. Say affirmations, exercise. That's how to get. So I started a morning routine, but I collected that knowledge. I didn't have the force to make it happen, the energy. But I remember I went to Haiti. I went and I bathed in a river and where my ancestors were at in Grand Guave, my grandma from, and talked to my ancestors. And I went to
That's cool.
And I remember just playing with the kids in Grand Guave and like riding a motorcycle around, just like doing whatever, like what I really felt like doing.
Yeah. And there's some therapeutic about that too, you know?
Yeah.
Just get like grounded, motors to the fresh air,
Exactly. Yeah. It was just do everything I could to ground myself. But it wasn't even a force. It was just what I felt like doing. I was allowing myself to do. And then I had that morning routine in my back pocket. And then when I got back, I felt the inspiration to start implementing the morning routine. And I just started. I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm running every day and I'm like making myself smile. Like I'm smiling on purpose. And I said, this is it. This is my life now. I hate it running. I'm like, I don't care.
That's right.
This is what it is.
It's
now.
like a muscle you're working on building your happiness.
This is just what it is. I'm going to run. Like, this is my life now. That's it. I go to California. I talked to my friend Jordan and he's like, yeah, that morning routine is going to do well for you. That was somebody, that's somebody that, a friend of mine that has some success like in e-commerce and stuff like that. And I was just looking at the people that have created a better life for themselves. That's what I was focused on. And then I get back to school and like I'm a complete genius now. Like before that, I took microeconomics and I failed and I tried. After, and I came back and I brought myself together and I was just like on a different level. Like I'm going to class, listening to theta frequencies.
Like neurons are connecting.
Yeah, exactly. I ace it. I get an A in the class without even studying, not once outside of the class.
That's not easy because I told you earlier I dropped that class. Now I can go back and teach it on how it really is. But
yeah, that's true.
But when you're taking it not knowing, it's not easy to do that without studying because they're like all this crap and charts and
Yes. So I literally was like, I remember sitting in class and I'm next to this kid. And he's like, oh, this guy looks cool. Like, yeah, I saw him dressed. He starts talking to me. He's like, oh, yeah, what are you listening to, man? I was like, theta frequencies. He was like, okay. And he just looked away. He didn't even continue the conversation. He was just like, what? And
that's fun.
I was just on a different level of operation. And at this point, now I'm choosing my program.
I love it.
I'm like programming myself how I want to be. I'm looking to where I want to be. Then I'm just seeing progress, and then I end up reading Crushing It, and then I start learning.
So that's when then Gary Vee from Crushing It, shout out to him. Also, thank you for taking that picture with me with my book back in the day, even though you don't read, and laughing, using that to tag him on stuff, have it go viral. Then I used his audience like for targeted ads back in the day.
That's
from
smart.
That. But just something right out of his book. But no, it's cool because it brings you to that, to Crushing It, which you're talking about before, which then you started applying stuff to like your music, the rap, and then like to TikTok and stuff.
Yeah. So it was first, before I even got to like the music, rap, and TikTok, first it was like, oh man, like I started learning about visualization and stuff like that. Cause it was like, at this point, I'm like, I'm limitless, man. I can do anything. At this point, I'm like, I can do anything. What do I want to do now? Everybody told me I couldn't draw. I took a drawing class in college, and I'm showing my art to my mom. My mom is shocked. She's like, what the heck? I thought you couldn't draw. I'm like, I know, I can do anything. And then I see Einstein, I hear about Einstein visualizing and doing and lucid dreaming, working on stuff while lucid dreaming. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to lucid dream. I go figure out lucid dreaming. I start asking my subconscious mind questions in my sleep, like in my dreams. Like I just did what I wanted to.
Imagination is more important than knowledge. People don't tell you that in school. They just want to go over all the teach. I'm like, why the periodic table and stuff like that? They should have a class on imagination.
Yeah.
Like seriously, how to use visualization and imagine. Like these are key components to success.
Correct.
That aren't taught. They don't teach that in college.
Nope.
Macro, microeconomics, great. Also teach how do you envision having this huge business that doesn't even exist yet.
Yeah.
Like what have other people done? Like how did Walt Disney start envisioning a place after his wife died and building a train in his backyard because he loved trains as a kid, to then saying, I want to make a place where people can ride on stuff like this, and it could be like a movie and they can have fun and ride it that didn't even exist yet. How do you start doing that? They don't teach that, but you're self-teaching from getting into the depths of being so far away from the other end of like giving up your vision to someone else, which is crazy.
Yeah, literally my vision, like literally, like it felt like my eyes are
it
open.
really
and
sounds
I
like an anime. Yeah, it's crazy, and also it's, dude. I've had other people write me to be. I can't even answer all the time. We get so many awesome inquiries for the show, but I've had other people write me that were in cults. I actually want to follow up even more now. I'm so curious. But if anyone's in something like this, to be able to have this help them to realize some things too, like of the transition of getting up. But yeah, your visualization is like taken over,
bro. Like
taken hostage.
Like my imagination,
so
my actual
crazy.
senses. It felt like I couldn't. It felt like I was given 1% of my senses just so I could be aware that I was alive. Like think about Get Out. Like when he's inside his body, looking through the person's eyes. Like. But it felt like that, but worse. It was like doing that, and then there's a film on top of my eyes, like while I'm inside. And then sometimes it would be like that, except I'm facing behind me, and I'm looking at a mirror through my eyes.
That's so crazy.
It was
so crazy.
It was really fun. And
man, that is nuts.
I just ended up. But after that, at that deep dark place, and I came back, and I was like, it's time for the dawn. Like the sun is rising. Like I'm going where I want to go. Like I'm living this life how I want to live this life. And that's when I started. Like just trying all these different things, realizing that I could do anything. That's why I started booting up, and that's when I started. Then I remembered I was like, okay, what is the fast? I'm listening to like Wesley Version and stuff like that, and I'm like, what is the fastest way to reprogram my mind? And then I watched a video by him. He's like, okay, well, really, if you really want to do this quick, he was like, I recommend isolating yourself, read this book, The Magic of Believing, do the meditations, this is that. But like for like 2 months, like 2 months straight, only intake those things, cut out everything else, intake the things that are gonna change your life. The only thing I stopped listening to all music. The only song I let myself listen to was Thank You by Big Sean and DJ Khaled. And every time, it was just, I made it my alarm. So when my alarm would go off, I would start giving gratitude.
Yeah.
And even before that, like during that time, like right after I left that situation, the only music I could listen to was I Decided, the album by Big Sean and his album with Metro Boomin. Like everything else I was scared of because I don't know why it just triggered me.
You were guarding your mindset.
I was guarding my mind. But that album made me feel safe and it kept me focused. It was like a mantra. Like he had songs like Bounce Back. Like literally I'm bouncing back. Stick to the Plan. Just all these type of songs about like staying focused on your purpose and making sure that you live your life to the fullest. Because I was like, man, I felt like I almost died while alive. Like, I would have had to wait to die.
Yeah,
I would have been just dead inside of me. And
it's so crazy.
And it was like I'm gonna live my life to the fullest from that point. So now I'm taking that 2-month break, right? And I remember calling Lou and I'm telling Lou, I'm like, listen, like, I'm telling you, stuff is about to be up. I'm figuring stuff out. Like, I'm realizing some really deep stuff on how to, like, create my reality type shit. And I'm like, and I'm going to need 2 months. I'm going to get back to you after these 2 months, but I'm doing this to reprogram my mind. And I remember telling my parents, like, I'm in my college dorm. I dropped my classes, my summer classes. So I'm like, okay, this is the one time where I'm not going to be around, like, a whole bunch of people, my family and all that stuff like that. This is a good opportunity to dive in on reprogramming myself. And I remember my dad is getting mad. He's like, you gotta be like, you're wasting time. You're not in classes or anything like that. And I'm just like, and I remember telling my dad, like, what if what I'm doing right now is going to be the thing that's going to allow me to pay for my own college tuition out of pocket?
Right.
And that's exactly what happened. I was like, I was like literally like,
it's a different generation too, because coming over, it's come to America, get an education. Like you've got an opportunity to get an education, and we don't have a lot of those opportunities. Like in my wife's country, Africa, that's like all. So to say that, it's like insane. It's like it literally is like laughable.
Yeah, and
it's a sin.
Yeah, you're right. It's worse than laughable. It is a sin.
He didn't want me going to school with dreads. I remember one time him crying, like I don't want to say crying, but he was really upset about like about me wanting to be a musician. He's like, I don't want that for you. But I remember, I love my dad so much. He's been a big support.
He's telling it out of love, but it's out of his perspective. So he's giving you the best from what he knows, but he doesn't know the like what's been put in your heart, you know?
Exactly, like what's been put in my heart. The dots that I'm connecting, I'm like, listen, you haven't put in the work to connect these dots.
Yeah.
I'm connecting them right now. Let me continue connecting these dots.
Right.
And I remember he was trying to punish. We was going to go to California, visit my brother. Shout out my brother Alan. And he was like, oh, you can't come, da-da-da. I was like, I'm not worried about, like, I'm trying to create my future. You talking about you're not allowed to come to California. What are you talking about? And then,
isn't this another part, everyone listening? Your dream will test you at every level. Like, it's like you make it out of this, dude, literally out of this abyss.
Yeah.
Like, I've used that as an analogy. You're the first person I could be like, you literally in an abyss of someone taking over, like this him. Look, I need a quarter put in the swear jar because this him motherfucker. Like, this guy.
He referred to himself as also, but yeah.
It's like, anyway, thank God that we have the power within us that's way stronger than anything else.
Yes.
That's when you find out you're unstoppable. That was a whole thing I get into with voodoo and stuff that I taught my wife, how they could do that. And I'm like, that won't work on me because I already believe that I have more power in me than that, and it won't stop me. And it's crazy because those 100%. That do believe it would work on them. But anyway, that's another test of you want your dad's approval. You love your dad, and then it tests you, and it's like he's feeling like, oh, you're doing this, it's wrong, you're a failure. And then your dream's like, how bad do you want it?
Exactly.
Can you go through this period of turmoil with your parents to where they'll never probably understand it until one day you can show them, whether it takes 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. It took a year. One day my dad was like, I was so worried about you for years when you started Dream Shine. And like years and years later, he's like, now you showed me how much more I could have even done with my dreams that I didn't go after, even at another level that I didn't know was even possible. And he's like, and what was really cool is he's like, and I watch you keep your faith in God throughout all the struggles. And I kind of stopped believing. And through that, it's made my faith stronger. And it's like, that's where you get tested. And then you don't know that that's going to happen while you're going through it. And then after you do, I'm able to be like, boom, like, God, that's my why.
Yeah.
But when you're going through that,
it was crazy.
It's another test.
But at that moment, I was like, I knew where I was going. Like, I'm like, you're not going to stop me. I'm here.
Right.
My dorm is paid for. Like, I'm going to make this shit happen.
Right.
And I remember, but I cheated, right? I let my mom have a line of communication with me when I said I was going to cut everybody off. And I remember I was talking to my mom, and my mom was like, I told her my mom, I was like, oh, that California trip, I don't think I want to go because I don't want to waste my opportunity to be here in this space by myself in the dorm because to reprogram myself, right? And then she was like, oh, she said something like, I'm glad you realize you're wasting your time by not taking classes. And I was like, what? I thought you understood. And I was like, what? And I was like, all right, Mom, bye.
Oh.
Boom. Blocked her. I was like, this is the information, all the information you need from me, but I'm sorry, this is what I gotta do. I gotta follow through with this, Mom. I love you. Boom, blocked. I was like, I gotta do this.
It's another part of that ice. Like, you gotta sometimes love people at an arm's length.
Yeah.
To get to like, to go into like that cocoon.
Yeah.
To get to that other level.
Exactly. I was like, man, I'm not gonna leave any crack. If I'm gonna do this, let's do this all the way. And so after a certain point, I remember my dad, like probably like a month and a half in, my dad is like, he realizes that he lost his point of contact with me because he was finding out how I'm doing through my mom. And so he's like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna see you again. He made it seem like he's about to die. And I'm just like, bruh, he's never done this before. He's capping, but he's never done this before. If he's not lying and I don't come home, I'm gonna regret that. And I remember I was like, all right, I'm going home. And I remember I was at the BMW dealer because I went to go sit in the i8 to just see what it felt like, and for my vision.
By the way, that's a good. People don't understand. That's important. There's a difference between having envy and a vision. To look at that and be like, I'm jealous. I hate it that they have that. I'll never have that. Is totally or being like, I have to have that or else I'm not successful, because you're not only, but I'm always the same, like driving into neighborhoods that I couldn't live in, being like, one day I'll be there. And I wasn't even close to that yet. One day I found out I'm living there. There's something about like stepping into that and just feeling it and touching it.
Yeah.
People take that. They don't like teach that either, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Man. Like, you can have some sort of experience of it rather than hating it, you know?
Yeah.
And if you understood the power of your mind, the power of your mind and how good that is for your subconscious, if you actually do want it,
right?
Like, then you just embrace it. You get to enjoy those things like in front of you and bask in the beauty of it, like
the fruits of your labor. Yeah.
So
you sat in the BMW and stuff you're talking about.
And then my dad told me, basically made it seem like he's gonna die or whatever. And I was just like, all right, you know what? I'm going home. And there was like a demon inside of me that like, it was just mad. I was like, no, you committed. Like, just the anger of of like trying to break this commitment of isolation. Like, don't you want your dream? I'm like, and I was like, if everything's gonna be okay, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna talk to him. So I go, and my dad's okay. There's nothing wrong with him. And then we just started talking and stuff like that. And then he was like, and he starts to make like something up about like telling me like, yeah, you're not going to California, something like that. And I was like, Dad, you know that I got accepted into a program at MIT. There's collaboration with FGCU on civic engagement and civic design. like, I was like, Dad, do you think that I got into that because I have good grades, which I do have? I was like, he's like, do you think that's why I got in? I was like, I was selected for it. Most people applied. I was selected. I was like, it's because of the mindset that I have, who I'm creating myself to be, who I'm becoming, and the teachers recognizing that and wanting to me to be a part of that team because of that value I created for myself and them and stuff like that. And he was like, oh, so you want to go to California? Let's go. And I was like, oh my God. But I was like, I'm not even going to be mad. I'm going to weigh this out. I have a friend over there that Jordan Wells, shout out Jordan Wells. She's killing it on YouTube right now. He just hit 1 million subscribers.
That's awesome.
Congratulations to him. At the time, he was living in LA. And I remember Wesley Virgin, my mentor at the time, like I was just going through his courses and stuff like that. He was teaching me how to visualize. And he told me, get around millionaires if you can. If that's what you want to be, get around. And I was like, well, he's in California. It's going to be even harder to stick to my fast if I go to California. But I can meet him.
That's right.
So I was like,
back getting in that space. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm like, you know what? I think it's more valuable to go meet him. And I have questions. I feel like he's got to know about this. He's got to know about self-image. He's got to know about these things. I want to know because I know I'm onto something. There's no way I'm not, but I want to meet somebody in real life that understands what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so
that's right.
So I end up going with them to California. My brother is looking at me like, who the heck is this? He's like, he's on the phone. He's like, oh, Jonathan's going through a phase and stuff like that. Because I'm like meditating all day. And I was like mad when he said that at first, like a phase. Like, I'm going to change all of our lives. I'm like, a phase. And then I'm meditating, like I'm not listening to music, And then my mom and my brother like kind of have like an intervention with me. And because my mom was concerned, she was talking to Alan, my brother. So my brother like brings me to the room, and then my mom's like, I don't know what's going on, And he's like, why aren't you doing the things that kids your age want to like to do? And I was like, because I don't want to live a life that kids my age are living right now. Like I'm trying to get to a different level of life. And she was like, yeah, but something's not right or something. I don't know what she was saying. But I was just like, all right, okay, what do you want me to do then, Mom? You want me to go to movies? What do you want me to do? And then and then my brother was like, no, what do you want to do? And then I remember because I was on this fast and I wasn't taking any entertainment, and I started crying, and I was like, I want to watch anime. I started crying. I'm like, I want to watch anime. And then so I was like, you know what? I was forcing it. Like I'm trying to stick to this rigorous routine.
Yeah.
Like waking up. I'm like, you know what? I'm in a new environment. I'm going to just relax.
Everything's like yin and yang. Like too much of anything is not.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. And there's different seasons.
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess it was time to transition out that season. And I went to listen to music, and the first song, I played a random song, and it was a song by Gunna called Phase. And he was like, I'm going through a phase. I'm going to get paid. Get my mama a raise. Like, I don't want to lay right now. I don't want to. And I was like, wow, Alan, you're right. I am going through a phase. I was like, I am going through a phase. Right. I'm about to get paid. Like, this is this moment. I'm not going to live like this for the rest of my life. Like, I'm doing this to change my life, but this is for this moment right now. And then I went, and I was like, let me watch anime. Oh, I need to finish the new season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I go and I watch the season. I'm like, oh my God, it was beautiful. Everything, even after the point where I stopped, was even more amazing and spiritual. And I was just so happy that I watched it. And then,
why is dude always yelling at, is it his mom or his grandma? Like always calling her. He's like, oh, you bitch.
Oh yeah. That's in part 3. Yeah.
I've seen some. No. I've watched some of it. It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
So at this moment,
no, it's amazing though. So I didn't mean to mess up. It's good. You're on track. Like I'm actually supposed to help keep you on track, and I am great at interrupting and just screwing everything up. I've only been doing it 7 years. Okay, so no, now you're back into anime, watching JoJo.
Yeah. So I'm like letting myself the liberties I didn't have before the fast, and I called Adam. And I'm just like, yo, like, how you been? And he's just, do you remember what that phone call was like?
Man, I remember the phone call when you went on the fast. That was like 45 seconds. Like, I just hadn't heard from him in a while. So I called him like, yo, bro, like, are you okay? And he's like, yo, he literally picks up the phone. He's like, yo, I'm doing a mental fast right now. Can't talk. Gotta be like, he's like, can't talk. Gotta be gone for like 30 days. And I was like, okay, stop talking. And then I hung up. Cause I was like, well, like,
Did you think he was getting out of, did you see progress that he was getting out of where, like, he was healing in a way from where he was? Or did you think he was still,
I think like, well, for one, I realized it wasn't this black and white situation. Like you're either this or that.
that's cool.
That's one of the things that I had to. Well, that's one of the things that I've just learned from being around him a lot, especially like, being a supporting role to the artist is like, it takes a certain kind of mentality that's not really spoken on type of thing. So it's like there are times when like I have to leave the room so that he can make a connection that's gonna be valuable. I can't just want to be there for being here. You know what I mean?
Right. You're able to like kind of feed off that energy and creativity. Be like, ooh, okay, time to.
Like this is, especially like I'm not an artist at the time, I'm not a producer.
Right.
So like, what am I really here for other than like, oh, like that's my cousin. I want to be around him. Like,
Yeah.
Even the interview, like I walked in, first thing is like, this is his interview. Like I'll peel off to the side, and then it's like, okay, if I'm invited, then cool. But like, I understand that supporting role sometimes it's like if he's a pioneer, I won't understand everything that's happening. But I believe in what he's doing.
That's cool.
And like, I don't believe, like, even when he don't believe in himself, he believes in me who believes in him, and vice versa. Like,
I like
believe in
that.
him who believes in me. So like,
You guys are blessed, by the way, to have each other, man.
thank you.
A lot of people you don't have relate good, you know.
It's my dog.
You get someone good in your life, man. That's such a blessing.
Yeah, and I think like knowing that, because especially like I had to make peace with like the idea that this man might be in a vegetative state like, for the rest of my life.
Right.
Like I made peace with that long before.
Yeah, long before it was at this where it is now. So you were like,
love,
okay.
I couldn't be just like it's unconditional love.
Right.
That like no matter what you turn out to be, like I love you. I love you. So like whatever you turn out to be, like whether like he could have went and been a monk, I would have just had to see him whenever they get their visit.
Yeah.
You know, like that just would have been the case. So when I got that call of like, okay, things are happening, things are good, things are looking better. Of course, there's little things like he said with the books. Like I knew that like, yeah, even though he's getting better, he's still searching for that answer.
Right.
But
which is a journey like we have to I feel like we have to go through on our own, you know?
Yeah,
that's part of the hero's journey. Yeah.
And he wants it fast. So like,
Well, you know, you earned it. Like it wasn't like you got it easy. It's like God's like, all right, I'll fast track you. I'm gonna throw your ass into the abyss, but I'm gonna fast track you.
I think that was another thing, like knowing that, like, okay, like he went through what he went through, and I always knew that, like, tell him to go do it. He's gonna, if once he says that he's gonna do it, then it will get done. Like
I love that.
I've seen this man say like, "Oh, I'm gonna put on my pants like both legs at the same time," and then I'm like, "Okay, bet." And then he comes back a week later, jumps into his pants.
That's awesome. That's how we should have started the show for your intro, man.
Right. So like, it was always like since we were kids, it was always like that. I'm gonna lift up this rock. Can't lift up that rock. Right? So once he says he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it. So once he was like, I knew he was bad when he wasn't saying what he was gonna do. Like, this is just happening to me. Then it's like, okay,
that's
it's
interesting.
not here, you know. Then it was like, because you know, like I said, outside looking in, he just looks antisocial. He just looks like,
right.
I don't feel like talking right now.
Yeah.
But like when you know him, you're like, okay. When he's like, I was watching anime again. Oh, okay, you're feeling better. When he's like, oh, I'm listening to Big Sean's album. Okay, you're getting better. Here's another song. Nah, I only want to listen to this album. Okay, you're not all the way 100% yet.
Right.
But you're getting better. Because you couldn't listen to it at a certain point.
Yeah. Well, no, you breaking it down is so powerful because to be like, I was this deep into this. And then the next day, I realized I smoked. I got paranoid. I realized what's going on. I never looked back. Everything was fine. It's more real to be like, no, it was a process in and it's a process out.
Yeah, exactly. And then during my process out, which I always like to say, like I was also like reprogramming myself for something even better, something greater. Like I get a blank slate. Like who do I want to be? And I cannot. Well, I'm already putting this out into the world universe right now. You are going to have some dope like music when you write this story into some of your lyrics and songs of like describing going into that a bit. And like, I do, you're the creator. Oh,
we're
wow.
all creative, but I almost see that. I see that as like an anime, and it's like but then when you're able to be like on interview or something, or we cut to this, like, no, this really happened to me. But then also you put it like, that's going to be so. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too.
Yeah.
So that what you're seeing,
You got a whole other metaphysical level. Yeah, it's personal development mixed with, I love it.
And it reminds me, it made me think, there was one song that brought me a little piece. I brought like some random records. I brought a Barbra Streisand record, and she had a song about hypnotism. I remember crying to that song. That was crazy.
Isn't it cool how anything, when people, if you could look at my playlist, it could be the most random from like that to like A.T. Aliens and someone, whatever reaches you or helps you get to where you need to go.
Yeah.
Do it. And it's like, what's crazy is had she not gone after her purpose, then that song wouldn't have got to you.
Yeah. And I want to mention this because we talked about this earlier, but like when it's like, when you're putting out those numbers, whoever's listening, like when you're putting out videos constantly, you're not seeing the results you want. Remember, it's about that one person. Like don't find purpose in the fame. Find purpose in it would never give you purpose. I had 80 million, 70 million people like listening. It didn't make any sense. I was buying stuff and it just didn't feel me. Maybe it was like exciting, but there was no peace.
It wasn't this.
No peace.
So you're talking about, because I was telling you about that too, from when you have something up now that even just on YouTube, 38 million, but that's not including Spotify, everything 80 million.
Yeah.
But then you have some stuff that could have 220. It's so important you share this because I've had this same stuff with my show, the Top 100. I've had stuff at one time I almost deleted something. And then someone wrote me from that how they were like thinking of taking their life, and watching that help them start to rethink things. And I was like, oh my God.
The rush of numerical success will never compare to the peace. It will never compare to the peace of connecting with humans and creating a difference in their life and having them communicate that to you. The rush of those numbers or money or whatever, that is almost stressful compared to the peace of providing value for somebody and having them communicate that to you, like that connection through their communication and stuff like that. And then for me to really see that, it took me learning how to run ads, and I would run messenger campaigns on Facebook and Instagram to people that listen to my song, and then they would be like, "Oh my God, I finally found you. This helped me through this. This helped me through this." Da, 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 da. So. For real, that's what brought me peace. Getting emails from kids like talk about like my grades got better since I started listening to your music, or like all that type of stuff. Stuff.
Yeah,
real life.
That's your why.
Stuff. Yeah, it's my why.
Yeah,
and that peace is so much better than a rush of success. But it's both fun. But I wouldn't want the rush without the peace ever.
Right. It's kind of like the yin and yang. Like if you only do one thing and you're bankrupt, then you can't help anyone. So, but if you're only doing something just for the views and the money and the hacks, and then you get that, and then you're fake and you're not happy, then that's worse. So it's like merging the two together, like finding that out, but then also like with reading Gary Vee, like, okay, I got to do some business with this, but making sure I'm following like my passion and my purpose also.
Yeah, exactly. But to get back where we left off in my story. So after this fast, like while I'm in California, and I called Lou, and he's like, "Oh, I watched this interview by Ben Gailani. I really want you to see it. It reminds me of you a lot." And I remember in that interview, he was talking about how he was so focused on making money, but he realized that his music wasn't really growing like that. And I remember during this time, this reprogramming, I was trying to focus on getting money because I'm thinking I have to get the money for my music. And I realized, but like if I believe that like I can create what I want through myself, my imagination, and my action, then why am I not applying that to the music directly?
Right.
And then I was like, I have to stand on it. I have to stand on that if that's really like what it is. So that's when I started to shift my focus. And if I didn't break the fast, maybe I would have never saw that. And maybe I would have never finished watching JoJo. And then like, so
that's so cool.
Yeah. And so I ended up going to my friend Jordan's house, and I talked to him, and I'm like, I just talked to him about like, I'm like, yo, so it seems like I'm not like all the way there yet, but it seems like success is pretty formulaic, like on the mental level, like the self-image and just like how you can reprogram your mind and all these different things and stuff like that. And he was like, yep. And he's like, and it's the fact that he knew this stuff, and I'm looking at the books he had in his house, and I was like, I knew it. I'm onto something. He applied this, his life changed. I'm seeing my life change.
Finally, you're not an alien anymore.
Exactly. I'm seeing my life change, and I know what's about to happen. Like I'm seeing it happen, and like we said, talking about earlier, like we know things, and because you kind of figure it out, but it's like amazing when you're watching it unfold. Like even if you kind of like know it, it's still incredible to watch it unfold. And from there, I went back to school, and that's when they started the MIT program, and I'm just still in because I'm still in my flow state. But now, like for me, like I know I'm back, even if I'm not like doing the stuff that I did before completely.
Right.
That's more of a choice of just making some sacrifices for the moment in order to achieve some results. But I'm like back, and I'm better than I ever was before.
Right.
And even if there's some things I still need to kind of heal, but like I'm me, and I'm like, I'm going through this course. We go. I give some presentations at MIT and stuff like that for the city, studying like the civic design principles and stuff like that, and going with my group and stuff. And I can see like I'm just in an amazing like flow state. I go through the rest of this year. I started dropping music, and then towards the end of 2019, that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on TikTok. And
You told me.
And
you told me. You called it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because he told me when TikTok came out, he was like, man, like every time he cracked the code too, like he would tell me. He'd be like, yo, bro,
yes.
I figured it out.
Every time I put pieces together, I always called him and told him like, look, this is what connects to here.
I love that you did that and took action on it to where now people are like, some companies are like starting to get on there. Like, dude, you should have started that if you were gonna.
A lot of like, blind support.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
choose the right things to support too, because like I can't support everything in life the same way that I support him. But like it was definitely like when he gives you that call, like, hey bro, I think I got this down. And it's like, well, by all logical reason, we've concluded like it's not bad, at least from what we can know. You know, like we're always doing our best. It's not our max potential, but it's just our best, you know? Like if your leg broke, then the best you can do is hobble. So that's your best right now. Your best is probably sprinting a 4 flat, but today your best is hobbling.
Right.
So that's just all it was. Like, okay, he calls me, he's like, all right, I think I got this figured out. All right, what do you need on this end? You know, do you need this? Do you need that? Do you need to go there? Do you need someone to be there? Do you need space? You know, like all of that. But ultimately, when he called me and he was like, yeah, I got this. I heard about TikTok. I got this thing figured out. I just got to do this like every day. I'm like, do it then. Like, do it. Like, go ahead. And then I watched him do it. I watched it not bear fruit for a while.
Right. And that's where you were talking about before, where at the beginning, doing the consistency. So you weren't even necessarily putting out like tracks and clips of songs and all that. You were just like, I'm going to stick with the consistency. And by the way, everyone listening, this is not easy to do. To keep doing one a day and not go back and like take it off, be like, dude, I don't have any, I don't know, I should share it. Just doing it each day.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like, I'm like, we might be having the best day ever. He's like, I didn't post yet. And like,
that discipline.
Annoying as it might be on like a day-to-day, like, oh, bro, you got to go post again. But it's like, when I know he's doing that for a reason. I know that it's for something that I want to see for him too. So like, by all means, go with it.
Right, because it's attached to the purpose. Yeah.
And my first viral anything on the internet, like just off of organic, just me posting it and no money, whatever, was like me juggling on TikTok. I was like, I'm like, what if juggling would do something? And then people liked it, and then people were like, oh, do a tutorial video, and I did a tutorial. Then that's video cool. Did like 200,000 views. I was like, oh, well, I got some type of results. Let's keep going. Like,
that's awesome. Like, had you not just been doing your stuff each day, like, all right, I'm gonna do something.
Yeah, like I just was trying stuff, and then that's when we get to the part. That's when I started posting the anime stuff, and then the JoJo POSE, and then that went completely viral. And so this is spring 2020. I'm in an entrepreneurial program, extracurricular, on like basically helping me build a business, right? And I was building Apollo Fresh through that program. I ended up pitching for money at the end of it. I ended up getting like $10,000.
Oh, nice.
I'm in the civic engagement program, right, with MIT, and I'm like helping build a course on.
Paul, I gotta just pee real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
I gotta run fast. Yeah, I need to invent like a toilet in here. But we've been going for a long. This is amazing though. I don't want to stop it, so I want to keep it going. Do you? You
want me to tell them?
Yeah. Because I'm coming right back, and then keep it going, right. And then I'll just come right back.
So I'm jump in for a second? Yeah, and I told you about this on the phone, I think. So I'm in the civic engagement program. I'm taking 6 different classes in school, and now all of a sudden my song is blowing up, and it was like, yo, I need to figure out how to balance. It was like there was no time for rest. It was wake up at 5 a.m., do my routine, go to like a free room classes, figure out how to get paid from the song that's blowing up, go to my classes. Literally, like I'm in class looking at everything blow up, and I'm trying to make sure I'm passing and stuff like that. It was crazy.
So let me ask you, because like, all right, you're doing all of this. Are you having fun the whole time? Because like, I know it's like, there's a love of the grind. There's the enjoyment of the grind. You can even love the results that the grind gets you. But it's a grind nonetheless, you know? So like, at what point, if even, was it fun, you know? And like, is there any insight on like those times when like it wasn't, when you didn't want to wake up at 5? Like how often did you not want to wake up at 5 versus wanting to?
In the beginning, I did not want to wake up at 5, but it was like, I would do that thing where I would smile. I would lie to myself to make it true. I would like smile. I wouldn't say lie, but like more like an affirmation. I would smile and be like, oh, this is what it is. Like I realized like vocals was a very powerful thing to me. Like if I could just be like, today's going to be a great day. I'm going to get out of bed. I would have a poster hanging from my roof that hang over above my bed that said, oh, wake up, get out of bed now. Master the first minute of your life so that you can master the first hour of your day, to master your day, to master your week, to master your month, to master your year. Like I would set my reminders for myself and say it out loud to get me to take action, like remind myself why I'm doing this. And once it got to habit, it was just like flow. But once all these things were happening at once, like, did I have fun? Yeah, I have fun, but like it was a lot of times I didn't really though. Like it was stressful at sometimes, but it was fun. Like getting there and just being a boss. Being a boss was fun. Like getting to the school and working on my business and then going to class like nonstop. Like just seeing that I was able to have that type of discipline and consistency was fun. But having to balance those classes, those extracurricular programs that were intense, and my music blowing up for the first time all at once, it was just super intense. Like it was stressful at times, a lot of the time, but just to see that I was able to do it was like I was watching myself in third person, like, wow, it's happening. Like I'm handling this. Like I'm just I didn't even allow myself to like think about it. I'm like, I'm not even gonna, I just have to keep taking this action. And then by the time like that year finished, like I kind of like spun out and I wasn't even like doing like my practices in the same way because I just completely burnt out. Like I've crossed the finish line and just flopped. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then now it's like,
Yeah.
the internet, like all these people judging me on the internet, commenting on my stuff, people trying to cancel me, all different type of things coming. I
That's
realized
the next level, right?
that was the next level. Those
Yep.
were the next challenges.
There either. It comes to the surrounding area as well. So like it was definitely like there was definitely times of like where even my faith in him was questioned by like external people, just like, oh, that's your cousin, the one that you said who raps. And it's like I gotta be able to go like, yeah, that is him.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, it's like, hey, isn't this song by your cousin?
Right.
The one who raps, the one I told you about. Like those days like matter too, because like, you know, people are gonna question like, why are you supporting that? Why are you at this show at 2 a.m.? Why are you here at X time? Why are you spending every weekend over there doing that? You know, and it's like there's a lot of time of like no fruit, but like I know it's growing. So it's like knowing that like, yeah, you guys don't get it yet. Not making them enemies either. Just being like, I understand your position and letting it speak for itself later.
The biggest obstacle in all of it was my ego.
Well, it's hard. Like Aristotle said, if you want to avoid criticism, do something, be nothing, and say nothing. And it's like, if you're actually putting yourself out there in the arena, it's crazy because 99% of the people that love your stuff, a lot of them are super busy or have stuff going on and may not even. And it's like the 2% that really are the haters have no life, no time, and they're writing like 90% of the comments, but it doesn't reflect 90% of your actual audience. It's just like, I know what it's like. It can get to you because I've had the crazy. Actually, there's levels to it though.
What's up? Talk to me.
With Billy, remember you asked me about our time on the Bahamas?
Yeah.
Billy, I hope this is okay. I'm going to share this story, man. Billy Carson. I'll text him after this. We might meet up too. Forbidden knowledge. He had a stalker that, oh my God, he shared the full story of another level of getting so big beyond haters and critics to a stalker that started following to knowing where all his events were, had a gun, started writing stuff saying, I want to eat your organs. Yeah. And the cops, she was like an older lady that was like 60. And so the cops wouldn't take, she had a gun, was standing outside of the hotel with a gun one time. And he would go to other states. She would show up. He had a restraining order on her. He would see her at night. And I'm like,
God.
I'm like, damn, there's levels in life. And he's just getting through the other side of that. Like, I remember we were at the Bahamas. I remember like, dude, is she here? Like, I'm like, you got me. Because when I met him, he's got his driver that's armed and stuff with him sometimes too. And I'm like, now that makes sense. I'm like, there's levels. And he, you could tell, obviously he's human. He's been shook up, but now he's getting, and I'm like, all right, Billy, like now I know when I run into the next level of where I have people, hopefully not people, plural, but a person like crazy stock and won't need my organs, I'll know who to go to, like at that other level that has been through it. Yeah, it's crazy because what we think at one level is like haters are horrible. That's horrible. But someone wanting to eat your organs and showing up with a gun. I'm actually, haters aren't so bad.
And you're not just going to want to blow a 60-year-old woman. Like, what are you going to do about that? That's so crazy.
How do you even convince someone that it's a problem? Believe you at first.
In the future, I'm going to start having a cameraman with us all the time. actually, I'll have to get your information. Like, you could have been, every conversation we had, we were like, dude, we should have been recording that. I know we did some streams, but it's the organic, because when you're in the moment with people, you're not constantly wanting to be like, oh, stop, you're just not thinking about it. But in the moment, him and I were like, damn, we share. And then there was another guy that started a company for 30 years, but there were so many long, good conversations where we should have been recording them. But yeah, he went through that whole thing of her trying to convince the cops and them being like,
no, this is real.
She threw it in the bushes and said it was a stick. And I don't remember if they were to find it. And they're like, it's an older lady. It's not. And he's like, dude, she's got a gun. She wants to eat my organs. Like, she's showing up at every place that I'm at. I don't care that she's 60. She wants to kill me and eat my organs. Like, I'm scared. Like, do something.
I'll be right around with that blower, bro.
The process, dude, he got his arm, the process of that. And then at one point it took him, I think they were in another state where finally, he said it took him getting the restraining order, still having her show up, calling the cops, them actually not doing anything and kind of being like a prick to him. Like, damn, dude, you're 6'5", and this old lady, and him being like,
a gun is 2 inches.
He had to put a whole, exactly, yeah. And it took him having to have the documents like in his trunk. And I think he said he was in California. Billy, I'll have you back on. You can retell this in exact details, but he saw her like at the beach where in another state.
Oh my God.
Like, he was in his car and I think he saw her like walking. In my head, I'm seeing it like a foggy morning. And he called the cops and was like, she's right here right now. I see her, get here. And he had been through it with them so many times before, because you're like, what do they do? They'd show up and be like, where's the paperwork? He had the paperwork ready. Mm-hmm. They showed up. He's like, here's the restrainer. Who's the proof? And they like arrested her there on the spot. He says he doesn't know the aftermath or whatever. Like, they took her back to where she went. I don't think she got, but he hasn't seen her since. Anyway.
That's crazy. That's real psycho.
Yeah. I know. We've done a lot.
Don't worry about it. Just keep recording. Fuck.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll have you send me that too, and I'll send you this. Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. But
no, you were going to, and we're getting close to like the last kind of lap of this too. And I actually, first of all, thank you, dude. This worked out, because normally I don't have this much even of a full opening for all of us, but I like shows to go as long as we can to be able to get that real stuff in too. Mm-hmm. And my kids aren't here, my wife's not here, so it makes it even better without them being like, oh, are you guys done yet? They're always cool about it when we do it. And my wife's awesome too, by the way. But so you were talking about then you're at now. Okay. So now you're at a level of you blew up enough to where like you went viral, you're getting noticed, you're starting to make some business stuff with it. And then now you're getting all this attention from comments of where you're starting to get down on yourself with your ego, because with that like fame comes out, the haters come through the floodgates, and they'll say some stuff, dude, that will test your ego.
Yeah, man. It really sucked, man. And since the show is about like transparency and like the worst, like I remember I made a song about anime character because she was a frog character, and I made a song like, oh, it'd be funny, like what if you got head from this character since she has a long tongue? And then kids from everywhere, just like people that were just plotting on my downfall, started calling me like a pedophile, saying that because it was an underage anime character. And I was like, this is supposed to be a funny song. People are laughing at it. This type of music doesn't even matter to me. This was just a comedy piece I just put out.
Right, you were thinking that deep.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, you're the pedophile. Like, that wasn't even in my head.
Exactly. So it's like that, but that was like the one thing you could have said to me that was like probably one of the worst thing that would infuriate me. Like, how dare you type of thing.
Right.
And so yeah, God finds a way of getting like in that crack. And I remember I remember I feel like I realized my root was like pride, like on the vibrational scale, emotional. Like if I would like shoot up here, even though I'd find ways to hit joy and stuff, I would come back down to pride. And in pride, it hurts whether if that's what your root is, like whether it's good stuff being said or bad stuff, like it gets to your head.
Yeah.
And so that was like my first journey. Was like I need to be able to emotionally be able to handle all of this without drugs. I need to be able to handle this level of intensity of like from the world and whatever without drugs. Be able to love these people, love myself, not let these things affect me. What is the mindset that allow me to flow through this? That was the first step. Then after that was like my mission all of 2021. Then 2022 was learning business, like real business. I started learning ads, funnels, email marketing, just all that type of stuff, building systems, learning copywriting.
Nice.
And that was all 2022. I could educate myself. Now 2023 has been like the implementation of that, building communities, building my email list of talking to these people, getting better at communicating honestly to those people that I've brought together and stuff like that.
Right.
Learning how to create sales, like applying all this different stuff, creating new product, like what do they value? Not understanding I need to learn my customer better, get my customer avatar on point. All these different. This year has been more of like the implementation. So that was like, it was like blow up, boom. Then it was like we were talking about earlier, like when you choose like an honest path, it's more work, but it's more longevity, because I could have just popped pills and like forced myself to
just be numb,
to create content. Like I could just been wilding out, force myself to create content, but I really didn't feel like it because I had to deal with these hurt. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do this the natural way so I can really find out what's happening in my brain so that I can really live life to like what I think is like the fullest, which I feel like is like
that's cool.
A free place that you could be sober from, like that life high. And that's what I wanted to achieve.
That's freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like,
freedom of the mindset.
Exactly. So that was deliberate, and now going through and I found out I have a passion for marketing. I have a passion for that because
that's cool.
Because that's how you get your why in. That's how you get your communication. That's why I realized that's how I'm connecting with those people. That's how I get in front of those people. So now I'm starting to get passionate about that, and that's basically where I'm at right now, man. Like and I'm just so excited about life. Like realizing, like, man, all the pain from the growing pain and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, I can come back from that. I can make it's just the same journey, like that. This is new challenges, and I know once I get through this and I get to that next level, I can be even more assured that I will be able to get through it each time. I will be able to. That faith will be even easier. Things will happen more effortlessly because I'll just choose faith immediately through any situation.
You're able to draw back on, like. It's for when people ask me, how do you get through this? And what I have to remember myself too, is it's so easy to look back at like the past month and be like, oh my God, this isn't going well. And I have to retrain myself to be like, no, look back over the past year. How's it gone from like, step back, put it in perspective. Actually, a year ago, where you were then and where you are now, like these past few months, you've had a slump, but over the year, or look over 2 years and put it like more in perspective.
Yeah.
You know, instead of like, and it can get hard. And then also to be able to draw back of when some new things hits you, it always will come in waves, and I'll be like, man, I can't get through this. But that's when I'm able to draw back. I don't dwell that I was in jail and look back and be all depressed and mad. I went through all that, but I'm able to be like, dude, I got through that and almost died, got beat to get, both my roommates died, one overdose, one shot. If I got through that, I can get through this. I'm facing something with finances. Like, man, I remember when we were going through this. So you're able to like draw back on those things. Like what you're talking about now, when you hit that next level, it's like what was used to stop you actually becomes like superpowers that you're able to like tap into. Yeah. Oh, I need that for this.
Exactly. Like these are the things that worked in this time. Like I was able to get through this because I know how this shit works. This is how it works.
Right.
It's about my faith. It's about my ability to adapt and to grow and evolve, my willingness to learn and change, like these different things. So, yeah, and just I want to talk about anime. I love anime. One Piece right now is one of my favorite animes of all time. Might be my favorite anime of all time until I drop my anime. But One Piece,
man.
One Piece is up there because I feel like that's a story about a man whose number one value in life is freedom and connection with his family, with his nakama, with his people, like freedom, joy, and connection, and using his imaginations and his word to create a life that embodies those values of freedom, joy, and connection. Yeah,
That's awesome.
And I feel like that's like how I'm living right now. I'm living my life like that's my number one. That's what I want to experience. I want to experience that liberation through me and overflow my cup and see that liberation affect the people around me and
so cool.
Together with people. You know what I mean? Like not by myself. I don't think we're ever actually alone. You know, everything's connected.
Yeah, but there is a lot of
Joy
behind the scenes in the when people can see you on stage or something, they don't realize. Everyone's like, oh, I want that. And they're like, they don't understand the thousands of hours you got to put behind the scenes by yourself in isolation to have that like 2 hours up on the stage in the spotlight.
Yeah, man, it's a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
And people think it's like that all the time. I remember when I started traveling a lot for speaking events and everything, I'm like, oh, it must be. Then I was doing it a lot. I'm like, this is actually exhausting. It's not the same way people think it is. You're flying here, you're doing your thing, you eat, you go, then you go. It's cool, but it's like not the way. It's a different type of grind.
Yeah, especially like when music, like touring sucks. Traveling for touring, like the lower budget you have, the more it sucks.
Yeah,
like
it's a grind.
I remember touring South Florida, like Miami, Tampa, Orlando, and like back and stuff like that. And I'm the one driving, and then I have to perform when I get there. I'm driving, my DJ is sleeping next to me in the car and stuff like that.
That's the side people don't see.
Yeah.
But it's important they know that, because when they're going through it, to know this is all part of the process. Because a lot of people think, well, I should just give up here. I shouldn't be driving myself and that's like the whole ego thing that you're talking about.
Yeah. Because like ego is the only reason why I wasn't able to, like why I let the internet people talking like affect me and stuff like that. Ego was the reason why that I didn't apply certain techniques and like email collection earlier in my process and stuff like that. Ego is the reason why I didn't connect with certain friends and stuff like that after certain amounts of success and stuff like that. Like I wanted to connect with people, but it was like fear. You know what I mean? There was like the ego is the reason why at times, at moments, I'm so attached to the outcome that I can't see how I'm treating myself.
Right.
Like ego, like it's most of the time is like when I like allow that to dissipate, that love to come through and dissipate that doubt and fear, like most of the right action like comes through that. Like, yeah, like I got my good habits and stuff and that helps. But like all the things that I can't see become available to me. Like once I get past those blocks of ego and stuff like that, like allow that love to come through, allow that sight, that relaxation, that peace, that awareness.
Man, this has been great. Like, just to sit down and have a genuine. I remember, like, with the ego, and we're getting ready to wrap up too. We are honored to have like so many people all the time writing in to be on the show. And I remember I had got to a point where I was like, I'm not like, we're having these famous people, but it was getting more of like their publicists were reaching out. And I just felt like the conversations it was getting more like in fame, but I just felt like they were getting more generic. And then it got to a point where this like super famous 20 times like New York Times bestselling author wrote, and they were doing this huge book tour. I don't remember mention the person's name, but they were going to pump me all over and have me on all this stuff to have them on. And I remember then they sent in, here's the 10 questions you can ask her and she'll answer. And it was so corny. It was like, when was your first kiss? When I'm like, this is not. But
What?
for a second, I was like, man, but this is like this huge pub. Like, they're connecting me with other people that are like super famous. And that's like, if I turn this down, so like that fear. And I remember I'm like, dude, this is like another bridge right now. If I say yes to this, like, I can't. And so I remember writing back like, hey, respectfully, like, she's awesome, but I'll have her on, but I don't do scripts. I only do conversations, and I don't pre-send my questions because I don't even know what the hell I'm going to ask out of this. It comes out, or I do research and stuff, but it's going to come out organically.
Yeah.
And that's the way we do our show. And they were like, oh no, she'll answer these 10. Possibly you can ask 2 more things. And I just wrote, like, respectfully, it's not going to be a good fit for our audience, and we're not a good fit for her. Have a nice day. The publicist wrote back like this, cussing me. Yeah, how dare you? No one's ever turned her down. And like, you'll never make it in this industry. I'm like, this isn't
What?
this. You don't even know. But but then but now I get so many more, and that's what I always think of is more and more with guests now. It's through connections of someone that I like, trust, and respect, and then that's why you and I talked after like 20 minutes. After like the first 10 minutes, I was already, dude, he'll be a great fit.
Yeah.
And that's the way I am more and more with it too. But it takes, man, you got to battle that ego and stuff ongoing.
Yeah.
And that stuff hitting you like, oh, this can take you to that. You feel like it's that other level, but it's like a trap.
Yeah.
Like the tortoise and the hare.
And now it's just like, I'm starting to look at it like, I love my ego. Like, I'm starting to look at it more like a game. Like you get there and it's like, now it's hide and seek in the dark and you come back out. It's scary, but there's no real monsters in there. It's just me in the dark.
It's a good way to look. That's true. Man. Well, listen, everyone, and we'll share everything in the description, the show notes and all that good stuff. But best place for people to go find you, do you have Apollo Fresh? I know that's like your Instagram. Is that where it is on like Spotify, everywhere else too?
Yeah, you can find
your
me.
main webpage.
My website is apollofresh.com.
So APOLLO and then Fresh, FRESH.
Yeah, correct. And on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music, social media, Twitter, Apollo_Fresh, Instagram, Apollo_Fresh, TikTok, Apollo Fresh. Go check out the album Life is Anime. I connect my life lessons with the lessons I learned from anime on there. It's one of my favorite projects. It's dropped this year. Yeah, and it was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for listening. Whoever's listening right now, remember, love yourself, believe in yourself, and create the life you want. You deserve it. The world needs it, actually. Get purposeful.
That's right. The world needs you. So never settle, never give up, and keep elevating beyond.